Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Warriors Next Adventure podcast. Today I have on Justin Seignemartin. He is the host of the MOC. They talk about Marine Corps policies and how to improve the Marine Corps. Pretty interesting podcast. I've been on it quite a while ago. He's doing good things for the Marine Corps. We talk a little bit about how everyone's kind of going stir crazy with the coronavirus lockdown and also different ways to reignite the fire in your soul. I put the link to the MOC podcast and Coffee Break, which is another podcast he started with his wife called Sig and Stig. Pretty interesting one. I've only listened to one episode so far. He just told me about it today, so I had a little time to take a listen. If you guys have anything you'd like to discuss, or if anybody would want to be on the WNA podcast, just go ahead and send me an email to warriorsnextadventure@gmail.com. And also got word that the Fuji rash guards are on their way. So if anyone's looking to buy a Fuji rash guard, it's going to be $50, and I'm just going to be using the PayPal. Just go and put your size in there, and I'll have it mailed out as soon as possible. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hey guys, thanks for listening to Warriors Next Adventure podcast. Today I have Justin Seignemartin from the MOC podcast. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Good. It's about time we do mine.
Yeah.
We did yours. When did we do your podcast?
Man, that's had been about 2-3 months ago by now.
Man, I've done so much shit in the last couple months. It's like I kind of lose track of like what I've done and when I've done it. And so, how you doing with all this coronavirus lockdown?
Not too bad. Just like slowly tapering back what we can and cannot do, especially with the kids. We'll let them outside, but not around other people. Like put a stick out there so distance between them.
The 6-foot stick.
Yeah.
Stay away. Yeah, we actually. I had my girls last week for about 3-4 days, and dude, after 3 days, I couldn't be in the house with them anymore. They were driving me insane.
Yeah.
They're going stir crazy. So I was like, all right, we gotta go do something. And so we packed up and we went up to go see the wolf dogs because they needed some chicken. So I was like, all right, fuck it, we'll grab some chicken, we'll go up feed the dogs, and let the kids run around.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun.
Yeah. So
my youngest is she's pretty severely autistic. She's 7. And I let that girl go inside one of the big cages, and there's 2 wolves in there, and she was chasing a wolf. That's how insane my daughter is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know
if my kids would do that. They've been asking for another dog. I'm like, no, I can't do that. But Heather and I, we were talking about, what about chickens? So we're gonna get some chickens we can get chickens. I think we can get 5 within the city. Give them something to do.
Yeah, usually you got to ask like the neighbors that surround you or something like that. Like here in Minnesota, if you want chickens in the inner cities, you have to go to the 5 houses that surround you. You have to ask them if it's okay, and you're not allowed to have roosters in the city limits because they're assholes and they don't shut up.
Yeah.
I had layouts for a chicken coop, and I was ready to go when I was with my first ex-wife. The shed that we had in the back, I was going to completely convert it. And I had all the stuff ready to go, and I was really excited to start it, but literally like 2 weeks later we got a divorce, so I didn't really work out. I'm supposed to be closing on a new house next week if everything's not shut down, and that's actually something I'm going to look into as well.
Man, I've been wondering about the whole real estate market, especially. Well, one, the interest rates just continue to drop. I think it's near 0 now. And then,
dude, I got like 2.5% or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was thinking about refinancing both my houses, see if that'll if I can save some more money.
You might as well.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
It seems like a good idea. I feel like, I can't remember what the hell his name was. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast, but he actually predicted the 2008 crash. And he's predicting like within the next year or 2, there's going to be another crash.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we're spending trillions of dollars just to maintain.
Well, that and the whole stimulus package they're talking about putting out.
Yeah.
So it's,
there's only a certain amount of time we can sustain that, $1 trillion a month and then providing what, $1,000, $2,000 to every person in the United States.
Yeah, they said like 1,000 or so, and then like 500 per kid or something like that. So I'm like, all right. I mean, I'm probably going to take that and buy a new AR. So with the way everything's been going, that's the one thing I've never had money for. And like, to be honest, I have an essential job. I'm a 911 dispatcher for the state patrol. So I'm going to I'm going to keep getting a paycheck, so I don't have
Yeah.
to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know what, I'll save the 1,000 just in case anybody around me needs some money. You know,
Yeah.
I put a post out not too long ago saying that if anybody needs help, let me know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no,
Speaking of,
no one does. I'm probably going to get an AR.
yeah, I was thinking of the same thing of like, well, this would probably be a good time to get a gun, especially after watching Contagion. I don't know if you've watched that.
Dude, I just watched that last night.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I'm thinking, oh shit, I probably should get a gun or something to protect my family.
I have a Springfield XDM. I used to have a shotgun, but some financial issues not too long ago. I had to sell it and just to pay rent. But
Yeah.
um, he pretty much told me, a friend of mine bought it from me. He's like, yeah, dude, if you ever need it back, just let me know. So I might buy that back from him because
Mhm.
I don't like only having a pistol. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, hell, you can go to a pawn shop and get what you need to.
No, exactly. You know,
Everybody else is selling them.
exactly. Well, I mean, the shotgun I had was like I think it was an 870, and you know, I never fired it. I had it for like 3 years, and I never took it to the range. You know, I've been kind of avoiding gun ranges, you know, since 2015. I got a couple buddies of mine that have been talking about going here soon, so we're probably gonna go out with Warriors next adventure.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome,
So
man. Yeah, I'm looking
yeah,
forward to when you make it out to Virginia.
as of now, I'm still doing the trip. There's two gyms. One second here. There's two gyms that are still going to be going,
Hmm.
or that are going to be canceled
Hmm.
until like May. And I actually just got a message from the Oath Foundation. They're another nonprofit that does hunting and fishing for vets,
Hmm.
and he just told me that our concert was canceled,
Oh man.
which sucks. That would have been a huge fundraising thing for us, and it would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So damn it. Yeah, everything's starting to cancel. You know, and there's a few guys. Um, the trip starts on the 23rd. I think I'm leaving. My first event is on the 24th out in Montana. And as of now, everybody's still good to go. There's one gym in Georgia that pretty much said they can't do it now. So I'm just going to do like an interview with him.
Hmm.
So, I mean, if I have to, I'm still going to do the tour. The main focus is to do the documentary, and interviewing these guys is what the documentary is going to be about, not only just jujitsu.
Right.
So either way, I'm still going to go do it.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I think that makes sense. You can still get what you want, and then the video clips they could always send that to you too.
no, exactly. You know, and then there's plenty of people still rolling right now, which
Hmm.
I'm surprised. You know, I thought everything was shutting down, but
Hmm.
um, I know some of the East Coast gyms were still open as of like last week, but I think they're all closing down now.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned gyms because we just got a gym membership, and a week later they're like, no, we're nobody can go to the gyms. Like
That
even the base
sucks.
gyms are all shut down. So there's yeah, much less things that you can do. But I keep telling everybody, it's like, oh, I can't go to the gym. Well, yeah, man, you can go. There's freaking pavement out there, and
Yeah,
your feet will work on them, and your hands can push on that stuff. So
there's
you're good,
plenty of
man.
trails.
Hmm.
I actually have a rucksack. I just loaded up with a shitload of weight. I weighed it, you know, just to see how much it was. And I've been doing like arm curls and shit with it at least, so I could do something. And I've
Yeah.
been doing push-ups, sit-ups, just like I can't. I'm starting to realize I need exercise
Hmm.
a lot more than I thought I did.
Yeah.
You know, because I took like 3 days last week when I had my kids. I didn't do anything. We literally just sat around playing Legos and playing games and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And by the time I dropped them off, I'm usually when I drop my kids off, I go straight to the gym.
Hmm.
And like I drove to the gym, like just in the back of my head, I was like, wait, shit, I can't go. And so I went home and I was just pissed. I was like,
Hmm.
God damn it. You know, and then I can't train jujitsu either. So like, you know, my usual workout schedule is once or twice a week. I'll get up at like 4:30, 5 a.m. and meet my girlfriend at the gym. Um, and we lift weights, and she's actually training me. She's a lot smarter when it comes to weightlifting than I am. She's a bodybuilder, so it kind of works out to my advantage. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Um, but she kind of gets me motivated to get there. And so about 2 days a week, we go lift weights. And then I'll lift weights probably 3 other times a week. But then I also train jujitsu 2 to 3 times a week. So it's like, that's a lot of gym time that I'm not getting right now. And I'm just getting
Yeah.
frustrated.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Just maybe my temper or something, but I just get so antsy. I'm like, man, I need to go and just be out. I can't be in this house all day. it's just not going to work for me. And I think,
Yeah.
probably the rest of America is going to feel the same way here shortly too, because they're only going to tolerate so much of this shit, and they're like, no,
Well, yeah, like
it's time to
I
go.
work for dispatch, man, and like half of our calls are domestics right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we work for the highway. So I'm with the Minnesota State Patrol. So all this stuff is public information, so I'm not really at risk of divulging information I'm not allowed to. Like the majority of the calls we've been getting recently are like stabbings and fights and domestics. It's like, geez, people, like,
Yep.
calm down. you know?
Well, I mean, if the well, I'm assuming the police force is still out there, but
Yeah.
what's priority, for
Yeah,
those guys
exactly.
and their health and welfare.
Well, it's like a lot of our troopers are, they don't want to make traffic stops because it's like, what the risk of getting this contagion. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, like I'm still on the crowd side of saying that I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like
Yeah.
I get why people are making it a big deal,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, you didn't see this freak out with SARS, and I think SARS had a higher death rate. Again, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but I think people are overreacting. I get the whole quarantine thing, and it makes sense to stop the spread. I get that,
Yeah.
but like, why not just have like a bunch of all the old folk, all the people that are in the the doom zone,
Mm-hmm.
just make them stay inside and make all the younger kids get it and just build the immunities.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially what's going to happen. I mean, I don't want that shit, but
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to stop my life for it.
Yeah, I'm kind of back and forth on this whole topic of coronavirus, because on one side I'm thinking, yeah, I need to quarantine myself and my family, and the other side is like, you know what? I just want to get this over with. I want to get it and be done, and then I can go back to normal.
Well, H1N1 came out in what, 09, and
Yep.
I actually caught that. That
Yeah.
sucked.
Yeah, my
You know,
son
it
had that.
Oh, okay. They're trying to say that it's a little bit worse than H1N1 because it's more so of a respiratory issue.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got H1N1, man, it sucked. Like I have a history of having high fevers when I get sick. Like my body usually is like just under 100 degrees like all the time.
Yeah.
So every time I go to the doctor, they think I have a fever. I'm like, no, it's just normal. I'm just hot. Um, but I had like 107-degree fever for like 3 days. Dude, it sucked. I literally was sleeping in freezing cold water in the bathtub and threw up a few times, and it sucked. My body hurt,
Mm-hmm.
but then after like 5 days, it was fine.
Yep.
And so it's like, okay, that sucked. And I get why people with like pre-existing conditions with like lung and heart disease and issues like that are actually dying from this stuff. But if you're healthy, I don't know why people are freaking out. I
Yeah.
really don't understand it.
Yeah. I want to say in they started doing a little more detail in the coronavirus, and what they've noticed is 99% of the people that are dying have pre-existing conditions,
Mm-hmm.
which I think that probably makes sense.
It was like heart issues, lung issues, cancer,
Mm-hmm.
anything that lowers your immune system.
Yeah.
Has been, the majority of the people that have died. And we've all had plenty of time. I've actually been looking into a lot of this stuff just because I'm curious, and if I'm going to talk about it, I want to be somewhat educated on the issue.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like the reason why Italy's having such a big problem is their population is really old. They have like per capita, they have more people over like 70, 80 years old than anywhere else in the country.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that has a lot to do with why their death rate's so high.
Yeah. I would also add that they are very social people too.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
younger generation are very social with their grandparents, so I think that helps contribute to that too.
Yeah. And a lot of people freaking out about not Minnesota, but the U.S. Spreading so much is like our population is much higher than Italy. I mean, we have like 325 million or something like that, somewhere in that general area.
Mm-hmm.
And I think let's ask Airman in Google. He knows everything.
Yeah, the
I'm
Google
curious
machine.
now.
Yeah, I find all kinds of stuff on there. Whatever I need, Google machine has
Yeah,
the
dude, they
answer.
have 60 million people. So I mean, we have much more people than
Yeah.
them. So with people, oh my God, our death rates are going to be so much higher. The
Mm-hmm.
people getting, oh, well, of course, we have way more people.
Yeah.
That only makes sense. And I wonder if you go back and you can look at the spread of like SARS and H1N1 and everything and see like if it's comparable to what's going on with this.
Yeah. Well, again, I think there's a lot of contributing factors, and is probably the same. What difference what differs from then and now is the social media involvement and what
Yeah.
people are doing, and just it's just out of control, man.
Well, the media hysteria is just
Yeah,
ridiculous, you know.
yeah,
And I've told a lot of my family, just stop watching the news.
yeah,
Knock it off. Like, it's not that bad.
yeah. I would also add that the what is that the amount of testing kits available too. So as the
Mhm.
amount of testing kits rise, the amount of positive cases you're going to have, and then it's going to freak people
Yeah.
out even more, and then they're going to take more shit paper off the shelves.
Well, I mean, what's the deal with the toilet paper thing? I don't get it.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know,
like
man.
there's like a toilet paper counter on Facebook floating
What?
around right now. So you can enter in the amount of rolls of toilet paper you have
Oh,
and like how long the amount of toilet paper you have. You can like count the amount of shits you take a day. And it's like most people have stocked up like 9,000 days or something like that.
jeez.
Like, what's
No,
the point? Like, I got 6 rolls, so I'll be good.
no,
You know, I'll just use my cat if I run out. He's self-cleaning.
yep. I told Heather, like, look, on one roll, hey, there's a bunch of squares on there. You just pull out that middle piece, put your finger in it, and then you can clean it off, and then wipe that off, man. And then that little piece you have left, you can clean your freaking fingernail. You're good.
Did you ever have to use the MRE wipes in the field?
I have.
Yeah.
Well, after wiping, you realize like, well, my shit is so hard that I don't know what else to do with this thing.
That's true. I mean, that's the good thing about MREs. Everyone should just start eating MREs. Nobody will shit for a month.
I think that's a terrible idea, man. Can you imagine the plumbing?
Yeah, I had an incident in Afghanistan, and I had eaten some local food while we were out on a convoy. Of course, my medic was like, "Please don't." I'm like, "Ah, fuck you, I'm fine." And so in the second episode of Warriors Next Adventure podcast, I went down to Omaha, and I was with my buddy Tommy. We were in Iraq together. I told the story, but um, let's just say I couldn't stop it, and I just went right there in the MRAP, and all I had was those MRE wipes. So I like had this tiny little squares, and I'm just like dabbing, trying not to touch my hands or anything. It was bad. My driver like threw up and shit. It was not good.
That's disgusting. Did you use the little bag or the big brown bag that all your food comes in?
No, I actually had the funny part about this, I actually had a care package in the back of the truck, and I just dumped it out and went in that because the bottom had tape on it. But the problem was, like, when I was done with it, I just chucked it, right? So I went up into the turret, and I put my nods on to find out where it landed. It landed right on the fucking doorstep of, like, I think we were parked next to like one of the local sheiks or something like that. And so I ended up having to call my buddy Matt, and I was like, dude, if you get a package from Afghanistan anytime soon, don't open it. It's probably anthrax.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
I feel
Man.
bad about that.
Oh
That's some
man.
goofy shit over there.
Speaking of shit, it makes me think of when I was with 11th Marines, the artillery guys. We were out in the field, I think probably 2-3 weeks for some exercise. It's all shoot, move, and then you do it again over and over and over again. And at the end of the exercise, they got like this whole roll of porta shitters. And it's my first time ever working with artillery guys. And I go open the door, and I go to take a shit, and I look over to my right, and there's a pile of shit in the corner. Like I am so impressed with their ability to shit in a corner of a porta-john. Like, I don't know how you do that, but it's like,
Why not just
bravo,
use the
man.
toilet? I just
Right?
don't get
No.
it.
Nope.
Bunch of
Nope.
dirty bastards. Yeah, the problem with deploying with a bunch of security forces guys is, like, the way security forces deploys is they'll take 12 to 15 people. So they'll take a fire team plus like 1 or 2 admin folk, and then from like 10 different bases, right? So we have about 150 security forces guys from different bases. We all get together and we do pre-deployment training for about 3 months. So when we're doing convoys, if it's like base security, it's like a month maybe. But if there's like convoys and stuff, you need to do base security, you need to do convoys, weapons training, all that crap. And so we get 150 security forces guys in one little area with a couple porta-johns and a couple like shitters, and it gets really bad really quick, and you start to realize how nasty some people are.
Mm-hmm.
You get people drawing fake nude photo, or drawing nude photos with Sharpies on the fucking porta-johns and shit. I got in trouble. I think it was in 2009. Where the hell were we? I think we were down in Fort Bliss, down in Texas. But somebody had drawn like a giant like girl just spread eagle, with a Sharpie, and it was a very good drawing. I was actually very impressed. And so they were going around looking for people at Sharpies, and I always carry Sharpies with me. Always, I have Sharpies, I have pens, I have pencils, I have all kinds of shit. You never know what you're gonna need, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had them right there in the front slip of my backpack. What's the webbing gear? Like the the part where you can like put webbing on
Oh
with like
shit.
pouches and shit. What do they call
Yeah,
it again?
I don't remember what
Is it
that's called.
Molly gear?
Uh, it might be, dude. I don't remember. I haven't
Yeah,
looked
I
at
don't
shit
know.
in so long.
Either way, so I had some pens in there, and then I had some Sharpies and some pencils and shit. You never know. And they came up and they started yelling at me. They made me go clean it up just because I had a Sharpie. I fucking told you guys I didn't do it. I can't draw that good. Come on. I was like, that's an impressive, drawing.
Yeah.
It's like that looks like Michelangelo himself drew that.
No, I'd be careful when I'm in the porta johns because it's like the whole spank area.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna touch the walls. I hover.
Yeah,
on
you
the
walk
toilet.
in like
Yeah.
just like this. You
Yep.
don't touch anything. You never know.
Yeah, I don't even put my ass on the toilet seat. It's like, man, there's probably so much jizz all over the place.
Oh, especially overseas.
Yeah.
You never know. Like in Buka down in southern Iraq in '08, there was like 2 porta johns like on the way back from the showers. The shower's like a quarter of a mile away from our pods. And that was like the pit stop. So you only go in there for one reason. You're not going to go to the bathroom. So it's like most people stayed away from there. It's gross.
Mm.
For those of you who don't understand, masturbation is quite frequent overseas.
Oh, it is, man. It is out of control. In fact, I was in Kuwait. I think this was 2000, right after September 11th, and we're all in this giant warehouse on Camp Doha, and I think we were there for about 2-3 months, and the commander decided, we need to do a health and comfort, and if you're not familiar with a health and comfort, that's when you're pulling all your shit out of your wall lockers,
Mhm.
and you're getting inspected, all your gear, and all this porn came out. Everybody had porn, and the commander's trying to like get it under control, but I mean,
That's under like Article 92, right? You're not supposed to have any pornographic materials or whatever.
yeah, I'm sure it is, but I mean, it was just like
Fucking
stacks
stupid.
and stacks of porn that they were just collecting, from everybody. It's like, man, this is a lot of shit here.
It's amazing how much porn people have.
Oh yeah, and it's just the collection just gets bigger and bigger too.
Yeah, it's
over the
ridiculous.
years.
Every time I deployed, everybody had like thumb drives or like terabytes,
Yep.
and that
Oh,
that
yeah.
was the shared. I actually
Videos,
bought
yeah.
a 2 terabyte hard drive, and that thing was full of like movies, and we had obviously the other folder was labeled church videos, and yeah, it was ridiculous, dude. Like I filled a 2 terabyte hard drive full of just nothing but inappropriate shit and
Mm-hmm.
pirated movies.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is,
It's
you got like the Hajis jumping up and walking in front of the movie and everything like that. It was like, it's whatever.
Yeah, that's some good shit. It's been so long since I've deployed for anything like that, but yeah, I remember all that stuff. Just
Where did you deploy?
So I was first time right after September 11th happened. I was with the MEF, and then we went to Bright Star. It was a coalition exercise. I think this was right after September 11th. We went to Bright Star.
How old are you?
I'm 39.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So you
so
look really young, like
yeah.
2011. Shit.
Yeah, this is my Asian blood.
Oh yeah, that could be it.
Yeah, so that was 2001, and yeah, General Mattis, he was a 1-star at MEF at the time, and he took us over. Did our time there, came back, and then we went to where did we go? Kuwait. Right after that, he went to Afghanistan. So we're sitting in Kuwait, roasting.
Did you guys kind of like follow him around? And you said you do communications, right? What exactly does that job entail?
Yeah, so that was when I was enlisted, and
Okay.
so I was doing a lot of planning, just making sure people, equipment, and they had the transportation to get where they needed to. But now I do communications, so different jobs, but you're running the same people.
Are you in like a guard unit or?
No. At that time, I was with the command element for the MEF. And then the next time around, it was the Combined Joint Task Force Consequence Management.
Oh, okay.
So we had a different general. It was more like if there was like a nuclear fallout or anything like that, any chemical or biological weapons used, we'd be the ones to do something. I don't know what it would be, but yeah, it was a little weird.
Yeah.
We had all these like smart Air Force guys talking about what you would do in a nuclear fallout and biological warfare, what you do and what that does to your body. I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna go in that shit.
Yeah, probably just gonna be dead. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
gonna
get
be dead,
over
man.
it.
I don't know if I'm gonna buy time for anybody, but yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
Nice. So did you actually get to meet Mattis himself?
Yeah, I worked with him, briefed him a few times.
Did you ever shake his hand?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever wash that hand?
That's my masturbation hand, man.
Perfect. You might have superpowers now.
Yeah, yeah. That's man. 2001.
I miss deploying, man.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie. I get sucked, but at the same time, like those are some of the memories you'll never forget, you know.
Mhm.
And a lot of my stories are not like crazy. They're just goofy shit that we did when we were over there. You know, so many folks paint out war to be like this horrible, like, you know, every day is just a pass. Like, no, half the time you're just sitting there bullshitting, playing pranks on each other.
Yep.
You know, and I was talking to a buddy of mine about that yesterday, and like that was the best part about all that shit is just driving around bullshitting with people.
Mhm.
Like everybody had just horrible sense of humor. You could say whatever you want, really, and you know, just to fuck with people. Like there was like no racism. I mean, there's some assholes, but you know, for the most part, like we could all fuck with each other. Doesn't matter what race you are. Like we're all brothers and sisters, and we're all just fucking with each other. It's the way it works. You know, I was in a group in Afghanistan. They called it Brown Town because it was like two Mexican kids, a Guatemalan, or no, he was from Guam, and and I was like, I dated a Mexican chick once. He's like, fuck it, you're a part of it. And I was like, all right, cool. But no, like we all slept like in the same area,
Mhm.
and we had like a banner made up that said Brown Town only or some shit. Like that was fucking stupid. But those guys were fucking awesome. I miss them. We were all in Afghanistan together, and we got yelled at like every day because we'd move beds around. This, you know, those 60-man transit tents.
Mhm.
That's what we slept in with like 90 fucking people for 6 months. It sucked.
Mhm.
And so we kept adjusting beds and everything like that to just make more room and just have like common areas and shit. And they'd come in like once a month, be like, put those fucking beds back. What the fuck are you guys doing? It's like, seriously, dude. I don't get that.
Yeah, we had the same issue with the sergeant major. He would pull out a stick, and at first it was like, okay, 6 feet apart the beds will be, and then you know you have like 3/4 of the squad bay just open, and then next month he's like, nope, it's got to be 5 feet, and then next month it's 4 feet. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, are you just trying to find things to do?
That's the one thing I couldn't stand from the military. Like my punishment folder was like that thick. I got Article 15 once. I got a fuckload of LORs and a bunch of shit in my profile. Like when I ended up getting out of the military, I just took all that shit out of my file because that's the only way they can really get your file outside of the military.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, in the Air Force at least, they give you like a document to give to people if they're trying to like look up your military history or whatever. I just took all that shit out and threw it away. It's like, fuck that. You know, I'll tell people if they ask, but yeah, there's no reason to have that shit in there because half of it was like, one of them was I got a LOR. I don't know if they're same for you guys, but letter of reprimand.
Yeah, we call it non-punitive letter of caution.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Yeah, so I had a few of those. One of them was I was sitting in the back seat. We got attacked in Afghanistan, and we were the QRF for the base, right? You know, we were called the Reapers. And so we had you know what a MAT V is?
Mm-hmm.
So we were actually in a MAT V, and I had a crow. That was the funnest training. It's doing the crow system, is like actually getting to use that shit out on the range, and it was fucking fun. So I'm sitting in the back seat getting the gun powered up, getting everything ready to go while he's driving to go get gas because we're getting fucking attacked and we need to go. And we had that RPG netting on the side, and he ended up hitting a dump truck or some shit and ripped up the RPG netting. Not really a big fucking deal, but he stopped and everything like that, and we're like, oh fuck. And we looked at it, and we're just like, all right, we gotta go get gas. You know, we don't have time to fucking sit here with this shit. So we run over, we get gas, we come back, and like one of the guys who's in charge of like the motor pool or some shit, he saw it and he thought that we were fleeing the scene of an accident. We're like, no, motherfucker, we're getting attacked. We gotta go. More important shit to do, right? So We get back and my squad leader told me, he's like, fuck it, just tie that shit up with some 550 cord. We'll be good to go. And so I just tied it up and I made it look, you obviously could tell it was fucked up, but it was useful, just fucking adapt and overcome and then move on with the mission, right? So the next day we get pulled into the fucking commander's office and they're screaming at us and yelling at us, me and the driver. And I'm just like, what the fuck is the problem? Why is it such a big deal? Like, the shit still works. Like, the whole point of that is just to make the RPG blow up before it hits the car, and it's still going to do it. Yeah. And so they gave me an LOR for that. And then they ended up pulling my squad leader in and everything, but they put it all on us, which sucks, even though the squad leader told us to do it. I'm not about diming people out, and I would have taken one for the team, but it's whatever. But yeah, like, who cares? It's not even like a misdemeanor outside the military, so it's like, it's not a big deal. So pretty much slap on the wrist.
I think that's what it comes down to, is people get bored and they're trying to make things better, but really it's just it makes it worse.
Much like America, man.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, with the way that everything's been going the past couple of years, like, we have it really good here in the U.S. And so now people are just picking little shit to complain about, like which bathroom to piss in, and it's like, just I don't get it sometimes. I try not to get into a lot of that,
when you start getting bored,
gender stuff.
You're gonna find things to pick at.
Exactly. And then now when we're in like a pandemic, everybody's losing their shit. It's like, I get accused of not giving a fuck about other people a lot just because I'm just calm. I don't really care about a lot. I should say I don't worry about a lot. And it might come off sometimes as I don't give a shit about other people. That's not the case at all. I mean, fuck, I started a nonprofit built around caring about people. Yeah. But it's like, why worry? If you get it, fucking contain yourself, take care of it, stay away from people, like wash your fucking hands. It's like, there's nothing you can do. Panic never helps the situation.
Yeah. So speaking of your nonprofit, so what I noticed, I was on this other Facebook page called Drinking Bros. You ever heard of them?
Yeah. I looked at a few of their podcasts and stuff.
So Drinking Bros site, I saw, some veterans talking about, like, man, I think this is it. I'm done. This COVID is just kicking my ass because I'm isolated, and they can't socialize. Have you noticed that on your site too?
Yeah, and that's why I don't know if you've been following my Facebook page, but I've just been talking shit the last 2-3 weeks, just posting shit that's goofy to make people interact. And that's a lot of folk have told me, hey, you should stop posting stuff like that. You're a leader of a nonprofit. You shouldn't be putting other people down. I was like, dude, you obviously weren't in the military. You weren't in, an infantry job or something like that. Because all we do is fuck with each other. I don't have anything against the Marines. I'm still going to say they eat crayons, I don't got anything against the Army. I'm still going to say they're really dumb. The Navy, they're kind of gay, but no, I have nothing against any service at all. But at times like this, people get stir crazy and they sit at home and they're bored and they want to socialize, but it's like, you know what? Let's fuck with each other a little bit. Who cares? Like I put a post out the other day and it was like, having the National Guard come in is like having the JROTC, being hall monitors, some shit. And there's some people that took a lot of offense to that.
And
it's like, dude,
man, I don't understand that stuff. It blows my mind. I'm trying to pull up your site real quick because you posted something about what was that? The Air Force, right? And
oh yeah, it was the security forces beret. So that if you wore one of these, you're not smart enough to get the COVID-19.
Yeah, that's what it was. And then one of your guys, one of your followers, man, where the hell did that thing go? He had sent something. I'm like, well, do you have COVID?
Yeah.
Sure enough, he doesn't.
That was my buddy Trevor. We deployed together. We were stationed together for a while, but it's funny too because like I usually can tell when somebody's joking, but man, some of these people commenting on them like there was one girl that got mad. She's like, somebody so-and-so died overseas, so you guys can fuck around on Facebook. I was like, we all lost somebody overseas, okay? I deployed 4 fucking times. I spent a little over 2 years overseas. I've seen some fucked up shit. I've seen people die. I've fucking held hands of people dying. I know what it's like. And comedy is the best way to deal with all of this shit. You know, if it's not your thing, then don't fucking play along, you know? And
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say the same thing for police officers too. I've noticed
Yeah.
some of my buddies, some of the shit that they see, going into an apartment and this dude like blew his brains out and all the brain
Hmm.
matters all over the place. Like you got to find a way
Yeah,
to release
sometimes you
that
laugh
shit.
at that shit,
Yeah,
you know, and it's not,
it's
you know,
morbid,
like
but it helps.
yeah, and like I'm a 911 dispatcher too, so like we see some fucked up shit. We have control of all the traffic cameras on the
Hmm.
highways, so we see people jump off bridges. I've probably seen 15 people kill themselves in the last 6 years. You know, it sucks, but
Hmm.
we usually make jokes about it. It doesn't mean that we're happy that person's dead
Hmm.
at all. You know, it's a sad moment. It's a very dark time when somebody kills himself at dispatch because it gets really quiet.
Hmm.
You know, and you can tell when dispatchers are affected by something because it's quiet in that room.
Yeah.
You know, half the time we're up talking shit to each other and joking around, and
Hmm.
you know, being a dispatcher has been really great for me. It's kind of given me a different outlook on life, but at the same time, a lot of the people I work with, we all have pretty much the same sense of humor, and so it's much like the military. So we can all just talk shit. We just kind of stay quiet when the leadership's around, um, but yeah, like I posted the other day, you know, like veterans, 911 dispatchers, EMS, law enforcement, we all have fucked up sense of humor. And you need to be okay with that because when you're seeing a lot of the shit that we see, how are you supposed to deal with it? Like everybody acting fucking crazy with this pandemic? No, just
Right.
calm down. You know, that's
Hmm.
the first thing you can do in any situation is calm down. You know, just take a step back and take a breath. Realize that you are not 100% affected by this right now. Possibility of it happening, but you know, losing your shit. How does it help the situation?
Right.
It doesn't.
Yep.
So I'll just post goofy memes and talk shit to people and post inspirational stuff. And I've had folks try to tell me how to run the nonprofit a million different times, a million different ways.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I appreciate your input, but I started this whole thing for a reason is because I wasn't seeing everything that I wanted and I needed. And so I just did it myself.
Right.
You know, I want somebody who can get in depth, you know, and get in a deep conversation about life and about PTSD, about suicide, all kinds of stuff. I literally can talk about anything, or we can talk dick and fart jokes for 20 minutes. It doesn't matter, you know.
Yeah.
It's there needs to be a good balance, and a lot of the nonprofits that I saw out there, they're doing great things, and I would never say anything bad about any of them, but it's just it wasn't everything that I needed, and
Hmm.
so fuck it, I just start my own. You
Right.
know, I think it's turned out pretty fun.
Yeah. And for all those people telling you what you should do, it's like, dude, go start your own, man. You can figure it out.
Well, some people think that the humor needs to be cut out because we're talking about serious stuff like suicide. It's like, okay, what do you think we talk about on these mountain climbs?
Mm-hmm.
We talk shit to each other, and we just make fun of each other. We poke fun, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I do get, you know, one-on-one time with all these guys, and when I've had some pretty deep, intense conversations. There's been a lot of tears. There's been a lot of, you know, a lot of flashbacks while talking, doing some of this exposure therapy, and you know, it's great conversation. But 90% of the time, we're talking shit to each other, and we're joking around. We're telling stories about the military, about dumb shit we did, you know, much like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And it's like that camaraderie is just as important as, you know, somebody telling you something inspirational.
Yeah.
Just having that time with the boys, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or girls. That's girls are always included. Um, it's that the conversations and the camaraderie just being 100% free and open to say whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know, that's very important. That's the atmosphere I try to put off.
Yeah. A few
So,
months ago, I went up to Quantico to visit a friend of mine, and we had this conversation of veterans and veteran suicide and just how or what is going on that's causing that. And he brought up a good point of if you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and as a Marine or whatever service you are, you're getting all those needs met with uh, people you can talk to that have the same situations that they've been through, and a good structure to to work with. And then once you leave, all that's essentially gone. You don't have
mhm.
order. You don't have a community that you can reach back to. And he was saying, one of the things that he's going to start trying to do, or he's going to do, is once his Marines get out, he's just going to call him like a few months later. It's like, hey, how you doing? What can I do
Yeah.
for you? And I think that just those little things like that would probably go a long way with helping people.
Well, there's a lot of studies that go out there. It's like, the reason why the reintegration program when you get back from deployments does not fucking work. Because what's the first thing you want to do when you get back from deployment? You want to go eat shitty food. You want to go bang your girl. You want to go hang out with your friends. You don't want to sit and listen to meetings and talk to people. Fuck that. But it's 6 months down the road, 4, 6 months down the road. That's when a lot of issues start to kick in. I mean, that's what it did for me for sure. And talking to a lot of other folks who have had a lot of these issues, it seems like a couple months after the fact. It's not right away. It's not a month after. It's time when we've actually had time to decompress. That's usually when a lot of the shit comes back to us. A lot of my issues. 08 kind of sucked when I got back because I was a lead gunner in a 50 cal team. We were doing route clearance, and so everything was a fucking bomb to me. It took me a while to be able to drive again. I wasn't a huge fan of that. I had a lot of panic attacks, but other than that, I was fine until a few months later, and then I started to really kind of freak out a little bit here and there, and having like nightmares and shit. And it wasn't terrible until after my 2010 deployment. That's the one where Michael killed himself, and I'd sat there with him when he died. That really sucked. But even then, after that, it took a couple months for it to really kick in. When you actually understand you're safe, you're calm, and that goes to when everybody is safe and comfortable and there's not a lot going on, they start stressing about other shit, right? And that for me is why I stay so busy with the nonprofit. It's because the idle hand syndrome, if I'm just sitting there, like yesterday, man, it was rough. Like I started to get like depressed and everything because I didn't do anything after work. I just sat there watching TV, eating food and shit. And I just went to bed. And I need to stay busy. I need to stay active. I need shit to do. And I think that's why a lot of people might be having so many issues with this whole lockdown is they're alone with their thoughts. And that shit can be dangerous sometimes.
If you can't stay preoccupied with things to do other than swiping up on your fucking phone, it'll just eat away at you slowly. And I'm the same way, man. I gotta stay busy, otherwise I do get depressed. I start getting anxiety. It's just not a good situation. So even that's why I mentioned chickens earlier. Like I'm building a fucking chicken coop, so I have something to do, and then I have something to take care of. So I'm constantly doing something, and plus I'm getting some out of it. Fucking eggs.
Yeah. My buddy Jeremy and his wife Kendra, they have a chicken coop and they have a bunch of ducks and I think they have a couple geese too. But they're just like just sitting there watching them is enjoyable because I don't know if you've ever watched chickens, but they're goofy as shit. And if you raise them right, they'll actually like come up to your kids and like let your kids pet them and everything. So I mean, it's just something that's entertaining, and that's why that's why I thought about doing it too, just to have something to constantly preoccupy me. If I'm sitting here doing nothing, hey, the chickens need to be tended to. So I think that's a great idea, man.
Yeah,
I hope I can do it someday.
Yeah, chicken coop. I got a garden.
Nice.
And then I think those were really the two things. And of course, my podcast takes up a lot of my time.
Yeah.
And then my wife and I, my wife wanted to start one, so we started one together.
Oh, nice. Me and my girlfriend actually started one too.
So we talk about blended families in the military and what that's like, and the difficulties, and then
What do you mean by blended families?
So my kids and her kids.
Oh, gotcha.
That type of blended family.
Nice. That's awesome, dude. And it's fun to do together too. Like my girlfriend Mara, she's a addiction counselor, so we're both kind of going down the same road. So it works out really nice. We have a lot to talk about when it comes to that stuff. We both get pretty deep and in depth with like spiritualness, like mindfulness and everything like that. Yeah. So it kind of works out nice. How many episodes you guys done?
I think we're on 24.
Holy shit. Yeah. What's it called?
It's Coffee Break with Sig and Stig. So,
Sig and Stig.
Yeah.
So I like that.
I'm Sig and she's the Stig mom. So our Sig.
Nice.
Yeah.
Send me that link afterwards. I'll put the link for the MLC and for that one on the podcast description. So yeah, I think I'm gonna release this one on YouTube too, because like you had a good idea with finally starting to do video again. Now that it actually turned out well, I think this turns out pretty good. I think if I get a new camera, it'd be a lot better. But
Yeah, I mean, I love doing it. So I record it in Zoom, and then I do the post processing in Adobe, and then it gets on audio, and then
what do you do for post processing?
I use Premiere Pro. Then I can export just the audio, and then I can
Gotcha.
export the video, and which I upload into IGTV, Facebook, and then the YouTube video too.
Nice. Yeah, I started off with I know we talked about this before, but I started off with audio and video using Skype, and it was shit, and it was so hard, it was so choppy.
Yeah.
Like this one seems really good, and there's no choppiness, but I think we both have good internet connection, and obviously the microphones help a lot.
Oh yeah.
But I had like 4 of them, and they were great podcasts, but it's like it's so choppy, and I'm obsessed with quality.
Yeah.
So it's like if it's not perfect, it drives me insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's why in-person podcasts are my favorite, because they sound clear. And I have like you said you got a Focusrite, the 2i2.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I got the Focusrite Scarlett 18i20. So I have 8 inputs, and then I have a bunch of audio jacks. I mean, so I can literally do like a concert with this fucking thing. It's great.
That's a lot.
The only reason why I got this one is my buddy Oren, he has one, and he was explaining to me why I should get one. He's like, well, what if you're traveling and you're doing a podcast and you got, 3 guys who want to talk, but then you got somebody who wants to play guitar too. You could plug the guitar in, they could play and, use it as an amp. So I was like, oh, fuck, that's a good idea. And then I actually found this one at a music around, and it was ridiculously cheap because there's 2 buttons that are broken on it. So now I just got to take a pen and like push it in. And then there's a connection in the back that's bent and broken. I'm never going to use that. So, okay. And I got it. It's like a $750 piece of equipment, but I got it for like $250.
Yeah, that's legit, man.
Yeah, dude, it's great.
Yeah, so I just bought the Focusrite, the 2i2. I think it was $100-something, and
nice.
then the mics and everything. I think it came out to like $300, $400 total.
Yeah, but it sounds great.
Oh yeah. I had the Yetis are great, but you can't split the audio or anything, and it makes it really difficult. And then when you connect it to the computer, it'll only register one mic, so it makes it.
What do you record on?
I use Zoom as well. I'm starting to mess with OBS, getting all the settings on there to see if that makes a difference, and that way I can add other pieces, just like Zoom.
You don't do any in-person interviews, do you?
I used to, but since I moved, it's a pain in the ass. And
Yeah.
I work with nothing but Navy, so.
Yeah. Yeah, the majority of mine are in person, so it's important to have a good program. So I use Acoustica Mixcraft 8, which is great because you can arm the tracks perfectly. So I can have 8 mics hooked up to this thing if I really want to.
Yeah.
Why would you ever do that? I don't know, but and then they each have their own track, so I can control the volume. So like, say one person's too quiet, I can move their track up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then also I have all the dials right here too. But post production, if it's not loud enough, I can just adjust on Acoustica or on Mixcraft just to make it easier. And then I'll mix it down to MP3 from there. You can also put audio or video on that one too, but it's not great for video editing. So that I use Adobe Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
And through the nonprofit, I actually get it for like $14 a month. So it's actually, it gets its use. I'm still working on that documentary series called Stories from Vietnam. I still haven't finished that, but.
Oh wait, so you have 2 of them now? I thought you just had the one.
What's that?
Your documentary. I thought you were doing the Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, so the Jiu-Jitsu documentary, that is still going to be filmed in April, but I also started a small docu-series.
Okay.
So it's going to be like 30-minute interviews of Vietnam veterans telling their story. There's a lot of guys who have never told their story to the public.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of their way, but also my way of reaching the Vietnam era veterans too, because I'm a veteran nonprofit, not just OIF, OEF,
right.
And so what I'll be doing is, using these videos to get other Vietnam veterans to start talking and telling the stories and realizing that, a conversation and being vulnerable about some of the shit you went through and how it affected you is actually the best way to heal, rather than, fucking bury it,
Yeah.
And it'll be good for the younger generation of veterans too, to kind of see what their stories are and the shit that they went through.
Right.
Like I got one guy, we were supposed to have a podcast, but I can't remember what happened that day, but he's going to come back down after all this bullshit's over. But he was actually in Vietnam, and he was a squad leader in Vietnam. I think he was a squad leader, but they were walking through the bush and shit like that. And they had some fratricide that he had to go through. And that's been huge in his life. So we've talked about it a few times, and it's some pretty fucking intense stories. So I think that'll be fucking great to have on video, because he's pretty good at he's pretty stoic. But you can tell, like, when he starts talking, like, the emotion in it. And so I think having that on video and having other people actually see it and realizing, like, years later, it's still fucking like a dagger to the heart when you start thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if you bury that shit for so long, it's just going to get worse, and that's why I tell vets all the time to talk, share your stories, find somebody that you're comfortable with. It doesn't have to be family. Sometimes family just doesn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of vets assume family's not going to understand, and they start building invisible walls between them and their family.
Yep.
So it's like, maybe ask one of your family members, like, hey, can I talk to you about this? Can you handle this? And just start sharing. And if it gets to be too much, then just, back off.
Yeah. Yeah. My uncle's the same way. He went to Vietnam, and
Nice.
He's willing to talk for a little while, and this just goes across the board for any topic. He'll talk when he wants to talk, and when he's done, he's like, "Okay, I'm done. Bye," and that's the end of the conversation. It's like, oh, shit. All right.
Yeah. It's the good thing is I've had a pretty good support system, but I pushed them away. So like I made it seem like I had no support in my head, when really, my stepmom, my dad, and my little sister, they were really supportive. I just didn't want to accept it. And so I kind of secluded myself for so long and just stopped talking to everybody about everything. And it destroyed me on the inside. Yeah. So afterwards, when I started talking about it, I realized that I was the one putting myself in seclusion, not society.
Yeah. I would say that's probably a lot of people too, is it's more the idea like, well, this is my problem. I'm a man and I should deal with this. Mm-hmm. Or it's like, you just don't understand because you're a civilian. It's like, in reality, it doesn't fucking matter, man. It's an outlet for you to talk to somebody.
Well, that's why jujitsu is so important too. Is like, I realized that those guys are my best friends. My coach is like, he's been one of my biggest mentors since I got out of the military. And he's an Air Force veteran himself. Mm-hmm. But like those guys that I train with, the conversations that I have with them, the training that we have, we bleed, blood, sweat, and tears together. They come to competitions, we support each other. Which, by the way, on Saturday I got my ass whooped. I got DQ'd in the first round. Do you know anything about jiu-jitsu?
No.
So I was going for a straight ankle lock. That's where we're both pretty much facing each other, and I have his leg underneath my arm. Mm-hmm. And you take his heel, put it underneath your wrist, and you're leaning back.
Lean back, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But what I did was I took my other leg and I draped it across his chest or across his stomach, and that's called reaping. And you're not allowed to do that because you can seriously hurt somebody's knee. Yeah. And I didn't think about it, and I threw my leg over just because he kept moving. I couldn't get him to slow down, and they called it, and I got DQ'd. And then my second match, I was fucking winded, and I've been dealing with some heart issues the last couple months. I finally started doing my VA claim. Mm-hmm. I just started realizing that I might have some issues that I need help with. And they actually found out that I have a irregular heartbeat. I've been having heart palpitations for like fucking 5 years. And I've never really gotten it taken care of. So, and you people out here having issues like that, go fucking get seen right away. Don't be dumb like me. So I finally went in and they said that I have they did a echocardiogram. They did an ultrasound and shit like that. And they think that they dumbed it down for me. Something's wrong with my electricity in my heart and it's not beating properly. And so I need to get a stress test and a couple other things done. So I called the VA to get those appointments set up and like, yeah, you don't qualify for VA benefits. I was like, what the fuck? Like, you guys are the ones that told me to get these tests done. Yeah. So I'm struggling with that. But I think that had a lot to do with it because I had no energy. on Saturday.
Mhm.
I was completely blown out, and I it got to the point I gave up, man. He was on top of me, and his control was great. I'm not taking anything away from the guy that beat me. He did great. He did a really good job of controlling me. I just couldn't fucking move,
Yeah.
and he got me in a straight arm bar, and I couldn't fucking recover, and so couldn't figure out what the hell was wrong. And then I started going back and thinking, like, fuck, maybe my heart is really jacked up. So
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got it checked out, man.
yeah, I'm hoping to get it set up.
Yeah. You're
Like
also a
they already,
dumbass too for waiting so long.
yeah, I know, right? Like they approved me for the 10% for tinnitus, which was nice. So I got a decent check for that. That was perfect timing because I got to use that for my house. Um, but it's backdated back to March, and
Oh
so
wow.
I got clinically diagnosed with PTSD, which that was pretty much already known. And then a couple other issues that I've been having. And I think the majority of the shit that I'm dealing with is all linked to PTSD. Like they think I have sleep apnea too.
Mm.
Like just last night, I woke up because I was suffocating. I couldn't breathe, and it actually wakes me up in the middle of the night. I just, feel like somebody's choking me. And they said that it's all like deferred right now. So like I'm just waiting on approvals.
Okay.
So the good thing is I didn't want to do this for like money or anything like that, but it's like, you know what? I'm starting to realize I'm going to get a big chunk of change. And I don't know if we talked about the ranch that I want to build.
I don't think so.
So I want to call it like the Warriors Ranch or something like that, but it's
Mhm.
going to be through Warriors Next Adventure. And it's going to be a ranch up in northern Minnesota, like completely secluded away from traffic. The place that I found is like 5 miles away from the interstate, so there's
Yeah.
not going to be a lot of sound. But it's going to be like a 1 week retreat, so vets can come out for like 5-6 days and just get away from everyday life. But I'm going to have different activities like a wood shop, auto shop. I'm going to have a bodybuilding gym, jujitsu mats, podcast studio. But I'm also going to have gardens, um, like a hobby farm. So I have like chickens and goats and shit like that. But also like a meditation garden in the back, some four wheelers, shit like that. And pretty much I want to make it into like a 5 day retreat / mental health improvement, camp or something like that. I don't know what to call it, but um, just have activities all day until about 7 o'clock after dinner, and then have fire time. Because some of the best moments of your life are sitting around the fire with your boys.
Mhm.
And so that's where we can really get in depth and talk about shit. But um, if I get approved for all my shit, I mean, I'll be a minimum at 60%, and they have to
Yeah.
pay me back to last March. So that's gonna be a fat chunk of change. And I found some property up in northern Minnesota that's actually it's like $12,000 or something like that. So whatever money I get from the VA, I'm actually gonna use it to purchase the property. I'm gonna start building the ranch. So it's
That's nice, man. You
yeah,
need to
it's gonna get
find
put to good use.
some what do you call them? Underwriters. I think that's what they're called for nonprofits, and they'll help you find money and coordinate with other nonprofits to get money from them to transfer to your nonprofit.
Yeah, that's been the
Um,
biggest issue for me. Like I actually just recently found out I raised like $22,000 last year. I could not believe it.
nice.
Um, I honestly I've been keeping track for the most part, but I didn't add up everything, and I was pretty blown away when I realized how much I raised. But this year we're on track for about 30 to 40,000, so hopefully I can get that done. And it all goes towards, a lot of it goes towards travel, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But a lot of it goes to, some dinners and meals and events and shit like that. Um, but eventually, once I get this ranch going, I want to do like a membership. So like my idea is to have vets fly out on Monday. There's an armed forces center in Minneapolis. So vets have to get to Minneapolis, and then everything else is paid for, like food and everything.
Hmm.
Um, I'll pick them up, bring them up Monday night. We'll just crash, and then Tuesday start activities and everything like that, and some learning sessions about mechanics and carpentry and shit like that.
Hmm.
Um, and then everybody will fly home either Sunday morning or something like that, and I'll drop them off. But then I want to have like a membership, so anybody can come out and use the facilities, all day Sunday. So Sunday would be open for anybody who has a membership, whether it be the animals or anything like that. And obviously, if people want to come up just for the day, we'll have donations like a recommended, $20 donation or something like that.
Yeah.
You can use the auto shop, wood shop, jujitsu, weights. You want to play guitars up in the studio, it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
But just have a place where vets can just disappear to and have,
Yeah.
kind of,
No, I like that idea, man.
yeah.
It just makes me think like, well, what else could you do? Like, you could probably get some homeless vets that have experience in these things that just stay on the ranch to help you out, and
Yeah,
what they
I
get
actually
taken
got a
care
guy
of.
who's gonna live out there. So in the house, I got to build a house. So the house is gonna be the biggest cost. That's gonna cost me minimum $200,000.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the hell I'm gonna get that done, but we'll figure it out.
Hey, the Gary Sinise Foundation, man.
Oh shit, that's not a bad idea. I might reach out to them. But yeah, like what I want to do is like in the basement, I want to have like 10 rooms, right? And then have like a big shower area and shit like that. Just make it kind of like a dorm.
Oh my god, a rain room.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Um, Open toilets with no doors. You're just
Wow.
gonna have to shit right next to everybody showering. It's gonna be old school. But no, like the upstairs main floor, it's not gonna be a regular house. Like it's literally gonna be like a giant kitchen with a big table so we can all eat together, and then like a small like lobby hangout area, and then one or two rooms on the main floor for I'd like to have somewhere to stay when I go up there. But I'm actually gonna have somebody live on the ranch.
Hmm.
My buddy Joe, he's one of the vets, has been using my nonprofit quite a bit, coming up to the Wolf Dogs with us, and he's gone to Omaha with me, and he's been a fucking great help for the nonprofit. And he needs somewhere to stay, so I figured, hey, this is like a great idea. It's a win-win,
Yeah.
because I get somebody to tend to the ranch when I can't be there, and then he gets a free place to stay, and in turn for work on the ranch.
That
So
makes sense, man. It is
if I
win-win.
didn't have kids, shit, I'd take that.
Yeah, I bet your kids would like it up there, just hanging out on
Oh
the
yeah, they're
ranch.
gonna love it.
Yeah.
I just have to fence it in for Charlie because she's a nut, and that kid just likes to run. So as long as she's trapped inside of a fence, we're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping I can get something like that done soon. So that's why I kind of felt guilty for a long time. That's why I never went into the VA.
Hmm.
It's like, do I really need that money? And so I've had enough people tell me I'm an idiot, and I finally got it done, and now I'm going to use the money for a greater good.
Yeah. I mean, it's there for a reason, man.
Yeah.
You did your time, and uh, you physically are paying the consequences for that, and the government wants to compensate you for that. And
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I got a lot of people who really care about me too. And like when I told a few folks about my heart issue, they're just like, "You fucking idiot, go get it taken care of." I was like, "I know, I know, I know. Quit being stubborn." So it's I need to get this shit taken care of because what happens if I die in a mountain or some shit like that? It's I keep telling people if I do end up dying on a trip with Warrior's Next Adventure, like say I'm up on a mountain or some shit and I croak, fuck it, everybody's gonna know that I'm happy.
Yeah, it's a
You know,
glorious way to die.
hell yeah, dude. It's you think about the old Vikings and shit, like
Yeah.
the most glorious way to die is in battle, right?
Hmm.
And I think about it like this, like, humans were meant to be explorers. We're meant for adventure. I mean,
Hmm.
the only reason why I called it Warrior's Next Adventure is like when we're in the military, we're peaking at the end of our first life, right? 1 to 25. Most vets get out about 25, 24, 25. For the guys who did like 4 to 6 years. And you get out of the military and you're just like, what the fuck do I do? And most vets keep living in the past.
Yep.
They're walking backwards instead of walking forwards. And so it's like, what's the next adventure? I need something. And I started to realize that, I need some kind of adventure, some kind of exploration once or twice a year. I need something, like I'm going insane. I haven't gone anywhere this year. I mean, I went down to Omaha. That was nice. But for the most part, I'm just going crazy thinking that I'm just being a lazy turd. It's
Yeah.
like I need to go climb a mountain or something.
Yeah. It's surprising you mentioned that because this year I went to Norway to
Oh,
watch.
really?
Yeah, watch Marines play with some cool shit. It was cold as fuck though.
Yeah.
Way up north by our Ruski friends, and then I went down to Camp Lejeune for another exercise. And man, I tell you what, man, it's you get that energy, that excitement from that, and
Yeah.
getting to travel all these other places. And then when you're just cooped up and you're not doing anything, it sucks.
Yeah.
And then you had mentioned, the like 24, 25 is when people just usually get out in the first term. I'm going on 22 years, and believe it or not, I'm fucking scared getting out. Like I think this will be my last tour, and I'm gonna retire. And
Yeah.
then I think about, man, what am I gonna do when I grow up? Because this is a fantastic thing to do. I enjoy it, but now I'm gonna have to get a job, like be a dude out in the civilian
Yeah.
world. And like, what is that going to be like? You know, all these unknowns,
Yeah.
and you've already experienced that probably 10 years already, and here I am. I get retirement and probably some VA benefits, but still, it's like,
Man, look at being
next.
like a G, what do they call them? Like a GS something?
Yeah, see, I don't want to do that.
Something.
I want to separate myself from the military as far as jobs. I want to focus more on the mock, and then working with these other nonprofits to help build that will help take care of veterans. Because
Yeah.
even my wife mentions that, you know, and there's a lot that can be done for veterans and the veteran spouses too. You know, because they go through a lot of that shit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I invite, spouses to come along.
Yeah.
A lot of folks don't go because I think that they're, "Oh, can my wife come with?" I'm like, of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
She
man.
just has to not get offended.
Mhm.
That's the only rule.
Yeah.
Nobody gets offended. There's so much shit you can do too. Like, you just have to do what really, it feeds your soul,
Mhm.
because so many people, they're fucking killing their souls. I'm actually writing an article right now, like your soul is dying, and it's mainly focused on, you know, go back and look at the Vikings, right? They go out and they do their thing, rape and pillage. You can say that they did a lot of horrible shit, but they were like the purest form of humans. Go
Mhm.
conquer land, go back. They drink beer, they bang their wives, and they're men. That's what they were, right? But even the females were fucking badass
Warriors,
females,
yeah.
right? They were warriors, and they went out and they had adventure. And they were the reason why you think they probably didn't have a lot of suicides back then is because they were feeding their soul. Yeah,
Mhm.
they were putting their life at risk, and they were doing some pretty terrible shit. But you go and you start thinking, like, they were constantly feeding their soul. They had struggle. They had shit that they had to worry about. Like, our society is so fucking safe, and that's why so many people are having so many struggles. Because go
Mhm.
back and think about, like, the Romans, right? When the Romans would march off to battle, they'd have months on the road. They'd have months to decompress with their brothers and their sisters, right? And they would have all that time to decompress from battle. And they had the camaraderie, they had the that adventure. The march alone is an adventure, right? Win or
Mhm.
lose, and then you get back and you go back to your everyday life. But it wasn't really just safe and comfortable. You had to fucking garden your own food. You had to, tend to horses. You had to actually do shit. And now so many folks just work on fucking computers, and nothing against those people, but it's so safe.
Yep.
Get out there and fucking challenge yourself.
Yeah.
I always tell you, do something that terrifies you once a year.
Mhm.
Keep your soul on fire, because if that fire goes out, you're just going to hate your life. And I
Mhm.
think that's when suicide sets in.
Yeah. Instant gratification.
Yeah,
And
with like social media and shit.
everything. You know, I want to say back in probably 2003, 2004, I saw this sign by Chipotle, and I had a picture of their fucking burritos, and it says, "Why wait when you can have it, instant gratification?" Like, what the fuck, man? And I just took that in a whole different perspective. Like, no, it's everything doesn't have to be instant gratification, because all this whole, you click on your phone and you get your shit ordered and it comes to your door. Like,
Yeah. Like,
there's no
there's so many people
there's no
that order
effort.
their shit on like Amazon and shit. Like, my girlfriend just told me she grocery shops on Amazon. They just deliver it to her
Yeah,
door. I'm like, what? I
yeah,
didn't know that was an actual thing.
yeah. I'm not gonna bash
Ads.
on Amazon because I buy my shit on there too all the
No,
time.
I do too. And again, nothing against anybody doing this shit. It's just like you need to feed your fucking
Yeah.
soul. So many people out there just fucking living a safe, comfortable life. And it's like, the reason why you're not fucking happy is because you're not doing something to challenge yourself.
Hmm.
And that's why jujitsu is fucking great, because you're pretty much going to combat
Yeah.
every time you step in there and you're challenging yourself, right? But then, like, for me, I need exploration. I need nature. I need to see new things, right? And that's one thing that feeds my soul. It's not going to be the same for everybody. But like when I went to New York, I didn't have the money in the nonprofit to pay for my tickets. So I worked a fuckload of overtime just so I could go. So I
Hmm.
ended up paying my way to get to New York. And just the experience of flying out to Jersey, my buddy Bob picked me up at the airport. This fucking clown. He's a MAGA hat wearing goofball, and he picked me up in Jersey, and he's got like one of those curly Q mustaches and shit. And he's wearing his MAGA hat, and I come walking up. He's like, "Welcome to Jersey!" And he's just like yelling at everybody, saying hi. And he came up, and the sign that he had said, "Your mustache ride is here." You know, it was great. And me and him have never met, right? But we've been talking for the last 5-6 years online. And it's like some of these guys online, like they are some of my best friends, you know, and I'm finding a way to use this nonprofit to use those people to get, you know, to get veterans involved in the shit that I'm going to do. So like when I went to New York, I used him and a couple of other guys that I've been talking to online to spread the word. You know, not only do I get to meet these guys finally, but you know, they're helping me grow as well. But just the experience of going out there, and then we had to drive to New York to pick up another vet. And then we had some pizza in Staten Island, which, by the way, it sucked, right? Minnesota pizza is fucking better. I don't care what you say. People talk shit, but it's like, you know what? I've had more good pizza here in Minnesota than the 3 times I've had pizza in New York. So I'm probably going to get my ass kicked now, but whatever. But like we drove up to the mountain, and then like I had never been up this mountain, you know, and I'm not somebody who super prepares. I'm let's go figure it out kind of guy. And so I didn't realize it was a 17-mile hike, you know, but we get to the top and it was beautiful, totally worth it. And we get down to the bottom, and the sun was going down when we finally got back. And oh, dude, it's just, the adventure is fucking fun. You know, like when I went to Hawaii last February, I went for 5 days or 8 days, I think, as a divorce present to myself. And it was fucking great. I didn't really have a plan. I slept in a tent on the beach. Like I like the unknown. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing out in life. You know, the super planners, just go do something different. You know, get out there and go find something beautiful. Just literally get in your car and start driving, and just wherever you end up is where you end up. You know, there's so many different things you can do to just get a little bit of adventure. And I think the sedentary lifestyle that we live is why so many people are depressed.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It just erodes your ability, your desire to live, because you're just doing the same thing day in and day out.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous. You know, you gotta wear your bubble suit everywhere you go. I'd rather fucking die doing something stupid like exploring and having fun than, you know, have my fucking house blow up on me and burn down on me. You know, I'm not worried about dying. That's something that's never really bothered me. Because, you know, I've been practicing Buddhism since 2016, and one of the main things they push out is like, life is fleeting. We are all going to die at some point. Why sit here and be scared?
Right.
You know, why not go out and yeah, everybody will die at some point in their life. So why not get out there and, you know, live a life so unbelievable where people have to fact check you. You know, like I want people to look back and see some of the shit that I've done, and really, I don't want people to believe me. You know, I want to do so much crazy shit that people are like, no fucking way. That guy didn't do that. But yeah, I did everything. I want to do everything, you know, and so every year I make a new list of shit that I want to get done this year. I don't always finish everything, but I have a list, you know, and I think that's one of the important things that a lot of people are missing out on, is having a goal and working towards that goal. Whether it's accomplished or not, who the fuck cares? It's the journey that's the important thing. You know,
I'm right on board with you, man. I do the same. Every year I have a list of things that I want to do, and granted, I probably get maybe 3 or 4 things, but at least I'm doing something instead of just sitting on my ass.
Well, get that fucking chicken coop done, man.
Yeah. I'll get some pictures up there once it's done. I got the shovel.
Are you gonna buy a shed, or are you gonna build one?
I'm building it, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good, because you had that little bit of pride, you know, like I built that.
Yeah, I built this shit house, you know.
It's falling over, but hey, you know.
Yeah, I'll eventually make it look good, but.
Are you using any plans or any websites to, like, for chicken coop building, or?
Man, I drew it on PowerPoint and paper, and then that was it, and I already fucked it up a couple times.
I would recommend, you know, Facebook has groups for everything. I actually joined a chicken coop group, and I learned a lot of shit on there. So like, those guys are really smart. And you're in Virginia, right?
Yeah.
So it's not super cold there, but like in the wintertime, you got to think about some sort of extra heating and shit like that. Like these guys these guys are fucking ridiculous with some of the shit that they have for these fucking chickens. But, you know, maybe some things that throw out there, and things you could think about.
Yeah. I haven't joined any groups yet, but I've watched quite a few YouTube videos and some of these people have some pretty shit hot chicken coops.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy we can learn on YouTube these days?
Oh yeah, man. Anything.
It's fucking awesome.
Anything.
Like I learned how to start a nonprofit from YouTube.
It's endless. Well, I got to get going, man.
Yeah.
My wife is back, and she's got a bunch of tasks for me to do with all
no worries, man.
Her Lowe's purchases.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah. I think it was a good idea to just get on and talk, just to fucking have something for people to listen to too. And you know, if people are fucking going nuts, I mean, hiking trails are still open. Get out and go do something, explore. Just stay away from people.
Absolutely.
We'll talk soon, man. Good luck with the chicken coop. I'm excited to see some pictures.
All right, take care.
All right, later.
Hey guys, I hope you like Warriors Next Adventure podcast. If you guys like this content and want to hear more, please donate to Warriors Next Adventure. We have donate buttons all over the Facebook page, the website, and Instagram. You can get it anywhere. We are a registered 501c3, so any donations are tax deductible. If you guys want a Warriors Next Adventure challenge coin, if you want a hat, just get a hold of me. I'll let you know how to get it. Challenge coins are usually $20 to the GoFundMe. The GoFundMe is going to fund the whole trip for the PTSD versus Jiu Jitsu documentary. The hats, you can go to PayPal, check out the Facebook page, and you should be able to click on the link and order a hat. I hope Warriors Next Adventure has brought a little bit of inspiration in your life. And if you want to talk, you want to be on the podcast, go ahead and send me an email at warriorsnextadventure@gmail.com. I'd love to talk to you and share your story. Peace out, guys.